welcome to Life on Turkey Lane. I'm so glad you're here with me tonight. I've got a couple little things to share with you. We've harvested not a huge load of peppers out of the garden, but we've got some peppers that I need to deal with. I try to deal with them every week. Most of the time I just chop them up and put them in quart freezer bags and put them in the freezer for later use. Sometimes we are eating them fresh as well. But tonight I think we're going to do a couple different things, and I'll show you what we're doing. But if you will remember the fermentation kit that I bought, I thought I would use it and make some fermented peppers tonight. I've never done fermented peppers. I hear they're really good, so I want to give them a try. I think Andy will like them on like tacos or Mexican meals or things like that. I'm not a real big pickled pepper fan. I like my peppers fresh or cooked fresh. But we're gonna give this a try and see if we like it. Okay guys, so as you've seen me before, I kind of like, my kitchen's kind of small. There's not a ton of countertop space. And when I'm processing a whole bunch of tomatoes, peppers, zucchini, anything like that, I usually try to sit at my dining room table. So that's what I'm doing tonight to chop all these up. I'm gonna have to get a better knife. I've got my bag holder. I found these at a resale shop, but I know you can order these off of Amazon. I don't remember what exactly they're called, but they're relatively inexpensive and they do come in handy a lot in the harvest season. So I've got that. I've got a little dish here to collect all my seeds and things like that. Now I did save some poblano seeds from the last poblano that I harvested, sorry, excuse me. And I've got them drying up here on the counter. I think they're pretty much dry, and I'm about ready to put those in a little baggie, and I will make sure to mark those. But the first thing I want to do to get started is I want to get a jar with salt water in it so the salt can start dissolving, so that when I fill up these jars here, I've got some wide mouth jars, a couple pint sized wide mouth jars. When I fill those up with the pepper rings, my salt water will then be ready to pour on top of them, and we can get these fermenting. So I'm gonna get up and grab that jar of water and some salt. Now I do want to mention that when you're fermenting, you do not want to use iodized salt, table salt. You want to use a kosher salt or a sea salt or something like that. So that's not been bleached and that's not been chemically modified. And you also want to use filtered water when you're fermenting. If you have well water, if you live on a place where you have well water is fine. Filtered water out of your refrigerator is fine. However, if you have tap water that's city water or something like that, you want to make sure that you get filtered water. And so I'm gonna get my filtered water and my salt, and I will be right back. Okay guys, so now I'm using pink Himalayan sea salt. So if the water looks a little pink, that is why. But it's safe to use for your fermenting. So I've got my water ready and I've got the salt dissolving in there. And then here is the knife sharpener. If you remember my Temu haul, this is the knife sharpener I bought. I think this is the most expensive thing I bought. And it was around $7 or $8, I believe. I don't remember that now. But I like to try to sharpen my knife. And this is really simple. You just put your knife in the edge there and you just run your blade along one of those inside points there, and it sharpens it up. And so I think we're going to go ahead and start out with the fermentation of the Anaheims, and I've got some jalapenos here, so I'm going to do a jar each. Now Anaheims are a little less spicy than jalapenos, but they are still kind of spicy. but I thought, like I said, they would be good for a taco night or something like that. But let's just start, and I'm just gonna chop the jalapenos in rings. And I'm gonna go ahead and leave the seeds in because my husband is a glutton for punishment. I like fresh jalapenos. I do not like pickled jalapenos, but Andy does like pickled jalapenos. And so these are great on nachos. He loves them on nachos, tacos, things like that. And like I said, I have never fermented peppers before, but I hear they're really good. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. And so I'm gonna do 1 jar with the jalapenos and 1 jar with the Anaheims. So that way, if there's a night where he doesn't want things quite so spicy, the Anaheims will be a good choice for him. Or if he has a night where he wants a little extra spice, the jalapenos will be good for him. So, but anyway, so I hope you guys are having a wonderful evening, morning, or night, whatever time it is that you're watching this. I don't know if you guys do any kind of fermentation. I've dabbled in it. I've not done a lot. I've made, you know, like the fermented cucumbers, and I've done cabbage. I may not have enough jalapenos to fill up this whole jar, but and if I don't, that's fine too. We'll just either add some Anaheims or something with it. I think this one here is an Anaheim, actually, just a little one. Andy went ahead and harvested most of the peppers that were left on the plants because they're starting to get just a little bit of bug pressure. And he didn't want these to get eaten up by bugs. So right now it looks like that's about all the jalapenos I have. And I really should have gloves on. Making a mess on the table here. But tonight I want to have just a little bit, yeah, I made a mess all over the table. I didn't get half of my peppers in the jar there. I just want to be careful. I didn't have any rubber gloves to wear, and I don't really want peppers all over my hands. So, but we're going to get it going. So that one I might add some more Anaheims too, just to fill up the jar. But I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about if you've heard anything. Now this is an Anaheim pepper. If you've heard anything about what's going to happen on October 4th. Now, like I've told you before, I'm not a prepper. I'm not a gloom and doomer. You know, I really don't pay a drastic amount of attention or a ton of attention to the sort of things that happen in the news. I don't really watch the news all that much, although maybe I probably should. You know, it might be beneficial, but sometimes I think the news is just hoo-ha. And it's just a way to depress people and worry people and all of that stuff. But I've noticed that a lot of the YouTubers that I watch, homesteaders, have been mentioning this FEMA alert that's going to be taking place on October 4th. In the afternoon, Eastern time, it's going to start around 2:20 p.m. For us, that is Central time, and that would be around 1:20 p.m. here where I live. But anyway, I know there's a lot of concern about that because the alert will be going out through everybody's cell phone. And I know there's been a lot of concern because shortly before the Maui fire happened, they received an alert 6 or 7 days before the fire happened. And then the day the fire happened, they weren't alerted that there was going to be any kind of disaster or that anything was going on. And so there's a lot of the YouTubers that are concerned that after this nationwide alarm or alert happens on October 4th, that in the coming days there's going to be some sort of disaster or emergency that arises. And now I don't know if I say I believe that necessarily, you know, but however, they're warning everybody. And when I was laying in bed last night, I don't know if there were images or just thoughts or dreams come into my mind, but I thought to myself, the Maui incident, they sent the alarm out, or the alert out, ahead, and then they end up having a disaster where they weren't notified. The alert didn't go through when there really was an emergency, and some people in the government in different situations have said that, you know, that the alarm malfunctioned. It didn't happen. It was broken. It didn't work. The day that they did the testing, the alarm worked just fine. The day the emergency actually happened, the alarm did not work, so they say. But let me get to my point here. What I was saying is, I know that there have been talks about all of this on YouTube. Like I said, a lot of the channels that I view, or the homesteaders that I listen to and stuff like that, are all talking about how we need to be aware, or beware, that there could be an emergency take place a few days after we get our, the alert testing takes place. But I was thinking, in all sincerity, since everybody in the country pretty much is talking about the October 4th alert that we're going to be having and all of this, that if the government is, or whoever is planning on exacting some kind of an emergency across our country, whether it be for food shortages or gas shortages or power outages or just whatever, I don't think this time that they would wait until after the emergency alert system goes off. This time, because the whole country is preparing themselves for this alert and we think that something's going to happen afterwards, this time I think the person, you know, it would be that they're going to do it before the October 4th testing. So we would be caught unaware. We would not be, you know, because I've heard a lot of people say, well, I'm going to leave my cell phone at home that day. I'm going to turn my cell phone off, or I'm going to use a, I can't remember the name of it. I think it's called a fairway bag or something like that, where if you put your phone in one of these special little bags, and I think you can buy them off of Amazon, that electric signals and things can't go through to them to destroy them or to hurt them, or so they can know your location. But I just want to tell you that every single person in this country or worldwide who has a cell phone, they can track your location. They can get to your phone. They can activate it or deactivate it remotely. And to be truthfully honest, if they're planning on some kind of an emergency or a disaster, if somebody's planning some kind of a disaster, I really do believe that they would do it before the October 4th date, because, you know, we know about the October 4th warning date, and we know about what happened at Maui, and I don't think they're going to wait for us to be smart about it, if you know what I mean. And so, I don't know. I shouldn't even be talking about all this. I'm really just wanting to talk about my peppers. But anything could happen, so yes, you should be prepared. Okay, and I'm just going to put my salt water here, and I put about a tablespoon and a half of salt for the whole quart of water. And the reason I did it in a separate jar is so that have the right ratio from salt to water, because I may not use all this water. But I wanted to have the right amount of salt and water. So I'm just going to fill my pint-sized jars up. And then I'm going to get my mason. I didn't buy mason tops. Okay, I'm going to get my fermentation kit here. Like I said, I didn't buy mason tops. But now I'm going to use this skewer to make sure I get any kind of air bubbles out of there, just like I would if I was canning something. Okay, and then now I'm going to put one of my weights on the top of all this, and it's going to spill over. So I got this little container here that I can spill that over into. I want all them peppers to be underneath that water there. And I'm going to get my little spigot right here, and I'm going to get my canning ring. Where did I put my canning rings? There they are. Gonna get my little canning ring here and screw that little lid right on the top there. Okay, so there's one jar of peppers that we're gonna let ferment. And I might have these jars a little too full. Okay, let me get my other weight out. All right, we've got 2 jars of peppers fermenting there. That was really easy. And so now the rest of these I'm just going to chop up and put them in the bag, in some bags here. I've got some quart-size freezer bags here. So now the rest of these peppers, I'm pretty much just going to dice up and put them in some quart-sized freezer bags. I may grab, I think I have 1 onion left in the pantry over here. I'm going to have to get me some onions. I may grab one of those and dice it up in one of these bags. We like to use those when we make, like in the morning, if we make like fried potatoes, we can throw a little bit of diced onion and pepper in there, and those are delicious. I may do a bag like that, but the majority, and I'm just going to go ahead and mix them, whether they're poblano, Anaheim, bell pepper, green bell pepper. I'm just going to go ahead and mix all of them in the bag, and it's not going to make a difference here. So anyway, now I'm just going to finish chopping my peppers here, and I always like to, especially the Anaheims, and usually the jalapenos, I like to make sure I get all the seeds out of them, but and I'm just dicing these in smaller chunks. but anyway, guys, I'm gonna finish dicing all these peppers up, and we're gonna get them in the freezer. These are gonna sit on the counter for probably a little more than a week. I'm gonna, after about, there we go. After about probably 7 or 8 days, I'm gonna give it a little bit of taste. Now these are gonna be spicy, and see what I think about them. If I feel like they're fermented enough, I will go ahead and put them in the refrigerator, and Andy can enjoy them with his Mexican type foods or whatever he wants to use them for. And it may take longer than that. It depends on usually the temperature in your house. I keep my house around the 72 to 73 mark. And so I think probably anywhere from 7 to 14 days, 10 to 14 days, these will be just perfect. So, and I will let you know what they taste like then. But I'm gonna finish dicing these up and get these in the freezer. I'll show you what we got whenever I'm done. Now, chopping peppers is one of my least favorite chores because all these seeds make a mess. But I will tell you though, that pepper seeds are really easy to save because they're not gooey or anything like that. You just basically take them out of the pepper, lay them out on a paper towel or in a dish and let them dry for a few days, and then you can package them up and they're good to go. So I have saved some poblano seeds, and I will probably save some green pepper seeds because I like the varieties that we've had in the garden this year, and so I want to be able to grow some more of them next year, hopefully. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining me tonight, listening to me ramble on about stuff that, to be truthful with you, I don't even know that much about and probably shouldn't even open my mouth about it. But thank you for coming along. I do want you to be very blessed. I do want you to be well and healthy and safe wherever it is that you are. And take care, y'all. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, guys.